Alright, last VOD review. And then we're good. We are watching Rose. This is a tournament game. This is Trine Cup 123. Losers bracket, game 3. I don't know what round. About Division 5. Last game was about Div 4. And we're in chat! That's awesome. Hello, Rose. Alright. This is for... Oh, this is team-wise. Okay, this isn't just you. General advice on how we could have approached this map better as a team. Mostly as the set went on, it felt like we could have won, but we fumbled it. And we want to know how to take better fights and positions together. Alright. We have a team VOD review, so let's do the overhead. Alright, here's your, like, slightly your POV favorite, right? Here we go. So we have an interesting comp today. A lot of combo damage. Have some weak damage. 2 weak damage weapons, 2 very high damage weapons. Okay. Nice. Oh, this team's called Octaves. All right, you guys have a cool tag. I'll give you that right away. I know it's not related, but that's a creative team tag. I like that. There is a lot of sharking going on. Is this our normal comp, by the way? Is this what you guys run normally? Or do some of these weapons change a bit? I'm assuming this is, like, pretty close to whatever your normal comp is. Given that we're in a tournament. Okay, what's the variations? I don't like splash down a cap zone. It's bait. Unless we're all painting it for a cap, don't do it. This is not a cheese special. Okay, good fight there. Okay. I'm gonna comment on this very early, but your swig is way too isolated for, like, playing swig. Like, this weapon needs help with damage. There's, like, nobody in position to help. Nice jump. We have tried switching Dapple for Wiper. Okay, that would not have been my guess as to the weapon change here. My main concern is honestly just the Wellstring and Swig together stacks on a pretty bad weakness of, like, individual kill power. Like, both weapons can kill you, but they are both very difficult to win 1v1s with. You either need your precise vertical flick or you need your Wellstring one tap. They both have specials to compensate for that, but now you have 2 relatively selfish specials as well. Which is a little tough to work around, to be honest. Like, it's a big enough issue to where I can see it repeatedly cropping up so far in this game. We can work around it, though. Do our best for it, but something to be aware of. Alright. We flip zone here. I like the bucket and Dapple, the comp, though. But, I mean, those are standard top-tier, or pretty top-tier guns in Dapple's case. So, nothing crazy, really. You guys also have the option for red Dapple, technically, if you want a cooler, which is cool. Not that I would suggest red Dapple, but it's there. If you roll, like, a Urchin or a Flounder or something, I can see That making a lot of sense. Nice jump out. That was good. This is a very good hammer. Double torp is very strong, yeah. Okay. We gave up snipe and isolator or dapple. Most bows prefer coolerless. That is what I've seen, yes, but I like cooler because it wins. I'm a little basic like that, I know. Let's... Okay. Okay. Well, congrats. This is officially the hardest game I'll have to coach by, like, a lot. I might need another watch. There's a lot to take in here. I honestly don't know what route to even start with right now. Okay, hold on. I'm not gonna start, like, reviewing yet. I need a minute. Guess it would invalidate their picks. What? Because they don't want to play, like to play pencil. I mean, yeah, bow and pen are pretty different mechanically. I understand not playing both, that's fine. I don't think it means cooler is a bad choice for them. Especially with this one. Like, I get it for Tri-Stringer, because that weapon's really defensive, but like this one goes in with a hammer. I think it having cooler is quite helpful. Okay, I'm gonna, like, throw out my, like, immediate thoughts real quick, and then eventually I'd like to condense this into a real review, because this is not a review yet, right? So, I think, like, okay. I'm having a hard time nailing, like, what your comp's goal is. We have, like, Stringer and Swig together, which I've already established why I have issues with it, right? But these weapons are, like, very... Okay, we're still stacking on, like, this kind of really consistent 30 to 40 damage that our bucket can kill with. So that makes sense, right? Dapple's kind of filling in the role of our mobile weapon because we have a lot of slow weapons. Like, I see the vision of the comp here, but, like, I don't see how to, like... How do I say it? Yeah, the water animation never freezes. There's a lot of potential holes in execution, right? That I kind of see. You play Swig and Dread. Our bucket plays S+ and our Dapple plays Wiper. Okay. I mean... Dread would be a lot better, if I'm being honest. Dread does a lot for this comp. Like, compared to Swig. You're still getting the same 40 damage, but now you have much more relevant paint. You have, like, much more, like, ways of getting in or flexibility with your specials, because it gives you access to Crab and Slider. And, like, my main issue is when you guys push, right? This comp is, like, extremely unstable, right? Slider goes in and dies, Hammer can go in and die, Strike lasts like 3 seconds, and Splashdown is fucking known for dying, right? You have, like, 3 specials in a comp that are all, like, very hit or miss. They either pop off or they blow you up and it ruins the game, right? And then you kind of just have strikes thrown in there. There's very little stability tools for your comp. At the same time, we don't have cooler, we don't have a lot of range, and we have 2 weapons that really struggle at killing in 1v1s. So you guys also need to be very tight-knit to have ways of working around each other. Your weapons can't really... You don't have a lot of self-sufficiency outside of the Dapple, because Dapple can kind of just run around the map and do whatever it wants, and it's fine. right? It's just kind of how it works. Like, it doesn't have range, but it's not going to die easily. Its toolkit is very easy to use, like, alongside the main weapon's game plan. Nothing will, like, interfere with what you're doing, right? So, like, I think that's why the holds feel so unstable when you talk about this game, because it's like, even with all the momentum you guys have, you really only have one way to keep control, which is you gotta put people in, you gotta like just spam damage in front of them under a ledge. Like, you have your wellstring bolts and your bucket sloshes and your swig damage over a wall, and that's your only real way of keeping people away. And if you don't fight for these ledges, like right here, for instance, is a good example, right? Where your bucket's not on the ledge, your wellstrings by themselves, right? Or not by themselves, you're kind of helping. Your swigs off spawn, and they can get onto this flat terrain. Your comp immediately starts to struggle, right? The second they get like a little bit of momentum, you guys don't really have a way to stop them from getting their value here, right? You have to go for like a splashdown play or something, or a reef slider play, or a hammer play, right? Like, we have 3 specials in this hold. We used hammer, we used splashdown. I think we still have slider. I'm guessing we use after, right? We have so many specials, but everything requires it being reactive to what the enemy team is doing to some degree. We don't have anything to like pop and kind of control what they're doing at all, you know? Go cooler, what weapon we replace? I mean, your weapon pools literally only has red dapple. That's why I'm iffy on the cooler. That's why I think Dread might be a bit of a better answer. Because it's still a bit unstable with Dread, but easier to do more damage, and you can have a crab. And the crab could be very useful. You could also play the Wavebreaker Wellstring as well. I'm not sure how worth it that is, but that one is a lot more stable. Wavebreaker does actually help with this problem. Like, it's not a bubble or a crab, but like, it does genuinely help. You can just throw wave down, and it works with a good amount of your team. Slows down the pace. Okay. Okay, let me start with pacing, right? Because you guys have to play really fast with backlist. Let's actually start the review. Let's not get me talking about the comp the entire time, right? Because there's more important stuff than that, right? So let's talk pacing, right? Here's the opening between 2 teams. Their team has Pen, Rapid, and is generally much slower than yours. They do have Dually Mint, you know, it's not passive. But like, okay, we're the fast-paced comp. Here's my question. How do we initiate on the opening? How do we make something happen? And you guys have to make something happen because you don't have a cooler. So if you wait and the enemy team waits, they're going to get a cooler and they'll benefit from trades. So you got to fight them first. How do we get in? Right? How do we start things? Because that's where I look at this comp, and now I'm not sure. Your Wellstring can kind of poke, right? Which is getting some value. But the rest of you are all in this corner, kind of just waiting for something to happen to initiate you guys. The rest of the way in, you know? It's like everyone's reacting to what the dually is doing. I think we even kill the dually. But like, everyone is getting cornered so easily, and their team is able to just completely cleanse, right? I feel like this comp is like we have to try way harder to get the same result as other weapons would. Yes, that is exactly what this feels like. Like, can I see this working? Yes, it's a video game. Anything can work. But you guys are going to have to play fucking flawlessly. Like, this comp has a lot of things that can go wrong, you know? And like, okay, I might as well have this discussion at some point, right? I know I'm going off on a lot of tangents. This is going to be the least fucking organized review ever, right? I think a lot of people look at the weapon debate and they will either go like, oh, I think everything can win or everything can't, and both of those takes are very bad. They don't work. It's never up to whether it can or can't. Everything takes a certain amount of like effort to win. Better weapons are usually better because they have multiple ways of solving problems or multiple things to work around. So then when the game happens and chaos breaks out, right? Good weapons will usually have a lot of different ways they can work around it. Good comps will usually have a lot of different things they can play to because, you know, you need to be adaptable. With comps that are weaker, like this one, right? It's not that they don't have strengths to play to. Like, a lot of these weapons have things that they're good at. It's that the execution you need and the linearity of your game plan is very low. Like, you need your reefs or hammers or splashdowns to work out, and those all are hard to, have work consistently. If you want to change that, you have to make some sacrifices, right? Like you mentioned, Crab feels like it slows the comp down. And, you're right. It might slow the comp down, but it might also be worth it for how it alleviates the problems. I don't know. I can't make a guarantee that it would actually be better or not. You guys trying things will be the only way you really know if it's better or not. But what's going to happen if I VOD review this comp and I look at it normally, it's going to be, okay, you guys are going to have to play these very difficult and awkward game plans and, like, execute them really well. So, like, let's take the opening, for instance, right? You guys have to be wider than the other team very early, right? But even if you're at a safe distance, you don't have a lot of range to poke at. It's like, my initial thought is you have to use your well string to figure out a way in for the rest of your team. They have to poke away and try to find an opening with the paint control. Like in this case, it's on the left side. And you guys need to see this left side paint, see that the Rapid is not looking at the wall string, and walk in and push this mint, right? Before the pen gets here and helps him. Or you have to have someone open right side of the map and push right side and take out this Rapid Blaster while the well string is able to help you for the quick kill, and then play off of that momentum. Because all the things in your comp become a lot better when you're up a player. Like, obviously, most comps do, right? But in this case, you have, like, a very momentum-based comp. If you get a kill and you can pop slider, it's easy to get another one. If you're, like, under ledges, it's very easy to hold them, right? You work very well off of, like, existing momentum. You have a lot of tools that let you, get one thing and chain it into another, which is very valuable. The thing that your comp struggles with is starting the chain of events in the first place. And if you wait passively and the enemy team corners you, like what happens here, you don't have an easy way out of that corner, right? You can, like, splash down or something to try to hold space or pop hammer or threaten, but, like, if they have all the space, right, they're going to have ways to respond to your slider or stamp or whatever because they have all this room to move around, and it's going to make it even harder for all this stuff to work than it already is. Okay. So, what you do need to do, right, if we're going to stick this, and you guys get these holds, is you need to make them count. Here's, like, the worst mistake I saw from this, like, set. I think it was, like, right after this fight. Because you guys win a fight, you get zone, you win another fight. And it's right here where I think you guys lose this fight. Literally right here. My problem is everyone's sitting behind the backline being patient. Like, we are so defensive. We just talked about this comp as having, like, really fast pacing. Where is it here, right? We're all sitting behind the bow. The bow's moving how I'd expect, right? We're taking snipe and we're putting damage up, but there's no follow-up for this damage. And remember we established earlier that, like, the Wellstring and Swig have good damage, but they can't solo kill very easily. So if there's no follow-up, no one's gonna die and the bow will eventually be kicked out, right? So I need you guys to hold under these ledges. This is where your Bucket and Dapple and Swig and literally everything are going to thrive. You're going to force these close range fights, and you have specials you can pop to save momentum or to find multi-kills, so we have to hold that. But you can't give up space like this. Right? So, like, the thing that makes your comp stable is space, right? If the opponents have to fight through people to get into the middle of the map, you're going to have more time to respawn, to jump back in, and to utilize momentum. If the opponents have to drop in to the rest of your team, they're going to have less places to go when you use, like, your Reef Slider, your Triple Splashdown, or, like, have a player Shark or anything, right? Does all that make sense? You know? So it's more, you guys have to utilize your momentum. The second you have momentum, you cannot let the other team breathe. You have to make your comp really annoying on the hold. You have more specials to throw at them because you don't have a cooler. You have a lot of, like, weapons that can get consistent damage, so it's very easy to find, like, a random stray pick. And you have to play to that. You have to constantly keep the other team down in their resources. So like, I think the Dapple is playing very well. I think Rose is doing good here, right? Because you're playing forward with a bow and you're able to capitalize off it. Like, you're kind of baiting your bow player here, right? You're waiting for a drop, but you're like here to punish it. This is great. I want to see that from everyone else, right? So like, the bucket gotta go be up here and fight the other corner of the map because you guys are fighting left side. When the swig gets back in, right, we need to take this top left side of the map that we have. We have to hold this like little quadrant up here because this is where their team is strong. This is flat terrain where they have the angle. They have like a wider amount of space than you. There's nowhere to ledge camp and there's no one to pair with. It's like our damage kind of gets mitigated. But like over here, you notice by this ledge where you guys are playing, you're stronger. We're still winning this fight. We just unfortunately die in Reef Slider, right? But like we hold quite a lot over here, and we keep this going for a while. I think like your comp strengths have a lot of overlap, right? You have a lot of weapons that do very similar things, you know? You don't have ways of compensating for what the weapons are bad at. Like, you have a lot of weapons that want to sit under a ledge. You have a lot of weapons that do chip damage, stuff like that. So if you're changing the comp, you know, like, it's not as simple as, like, playing around the comp strengths. It's like, I want this comp to be better at enabling what it's good at. So, like, if you change the comp, I don't want you to lose this, like, up-close, aggressive gameplay that you have. Because this is clearly, like, how you guys want to play the game. I can see it just from watching one game. What I want you to think about is how can we put ourselves in that situation more often, right? It doesn't need to be balanced. No, I don't agree with that at all. Like, you don't need a balanced playstyle. A comp that's like neutral at everything isn't good at anything either. You have to pick a strength to invest into. If you want yours to be like close range combat and like ledge camping, that's fine. That's like a good like thing to enhance. But like, the comp can't just be good at fighting under a ledge, it also has to be good at getting it there. Let me give like a different example, right? Let me give a more standard comp. If we see a leader comp, leader does really well, mainly with bucket and S-Blast. I'd say it needs one of those weapons, and most of its results are in Japan are with both of them being picked at the same time, or like a similar one. Like, the Area Cuphead one recently had Rapid or S-Blast plus bucket. Why? Right? Why have that comp? Because leader is really good at controlling open sightlines. So how do you deal with leader? You play around cover. You play around corners. You play around ledges. And that's why the bucket and blaster do so well. Because if you try to deal with the leader, those weapons get to fight you more easily. It plays to how they want to play. So if you avoid all the ledges, if you try to stay away from all the AoE positions, guess which weapon you're going to stand in the sightlines of? The leader, right? So if you try to counterplay one problem, you run into the other. And it's not that these weapons aren't synergistic with each other. They are. Even though they have different game plans, they force you to deal with it. When you have a comp that's this specialized, right, you have one game plan. So if I'm on the opponents and I'm fighting you, I'm avoiding the ledges at all costs. I'm going to open terrain and I'm fighting you there, right? Because I know exactly what your game plan is going to be. What's your deterrent for me doing that, right? What do you run in your comp that punishes, like, my team for playing that way, right? And it's not that you have no options for it. Like, Reef is a pretty good one. In these, like, big open areas, Reef Slider has a much easier job getting 70 damage, right? That's a good answer to that problem, is, okay, if you go in the open, my Dapple will turn around and Reef Slider you guys and, like, get all this open damage, and my team can then kill off it more easily because we're really good at killing off of that damage, right? That's my point where the comp lacks, right? You have a strength to play towards, but you don't have anything to disincentivize the counterplay. You have to set up what your comp is good at, because there's going to be another team, and the better you get, the more the enemy team is going to care about what you're doing. Like, let's say I fight Milky Way, right? Let's look at top teams, for example, because this stuff applies to everyone. What makes Milky Way's comp unique, right? They're a really good example for this. You guys know their team, right? What's special about their comp? They typically have dually, pro, pencil, and like a blaster or a bucket, right? They typically are very passive. That's what they're known for. They can sit back and they'll stall you out with the objective. And they can do that because they have really good paint and they have really good specials. And they get those more often than every other team. If you want to beat them, you have two options. One, you can try to be better at being passive than they are, or two, you better have the tools to run at them and stop them from playing their game. Right? That's the two methods you can do to deal with them. If you spec anywhere in the middle, their comp will farm you, right? You can't be in the middle. You have to pick one attribute to be better at them then. If you don't pick either, they're going to just play a better game plan than you. Okay, tangent aside, right? What's my point? What am I getting at, right? It's not as simple as just your comp has to be really good at one thing. There is going to be people on the other side of things. They will have their own game plan. They will be aware of your game plan and trying to subvert it. Things get complicated. In fights, it gets even messier. Maybe your Dapple that has the Reef Slider that's supposed to cover you died because, you know, Dapple fights and dies sometimes. It happens. What do you do if that doesn't happen? You're never going to have a game plan for every situation, but like my overall point is you can't just have a game plan on paper that you're trying to play to and a thing that your comp is good at. Everything changes constantly. Things go wrong. Plans are all over the place. Adaptability is very important. Having answers for all these various kinds of situations become more and more important the higher up you go. The more you start fighting teams that are aware of how you're trying to play and are going to deal with it. And like, this affects everyone. Remember when Hypernova played their like brush wiper stuff and we as Moonlight stuck 96 tent into it and lost like 1 in 6 in sets? That didn't go great. Eventually we learned, we changed our comp, and now we beat them pretty consistently. Right? And it's not that there was anything wrong with our game plan, right? But we didn't have deterrence for the way Hypernova played. They played in a way that dealt with us, and we didn't have a way to go, you know, we didn't have a way to stop them from dealing with us. And we struggled over and over again until we started, like, running deterrence. You know, we started running things that punish them. And it's all, like, a very fucking interesting game, you know? Like, that's what makes Splatoon so special as a game, is this constant back and forth of different strategies and ideas and concepts, right, that come together and create this environment that we're all playing in. And it's cool, right? That's so much stuff. It's hard to solve, but if that's good, you know? If it was fucking easy to solve, it would be boring. No one would have fun watching it. So, I get I'm rambling a bit. This is not a great coaching session, so I apologize to the team for that, right? But what I'm trying to get is when you think about comps, there's a lot more to it than that, right? And I think you guys have a lot of different answers to this, right? I think like V-Well makes sense. S-Blast gives you Booyah for stability. Different like Dreadringers offer different strengths and weaknesses. Cooler Dapple could work. Like, I'm not going to shoot down any of those options. All of them could work in one way or another. And like, what I would say is, which ones do you think you'd want to try? And then try it and see what works. I don't know which one is going to actually work well for you, but I bet you guys will figure it out. So go for it. Try it, right? Okay. Okay. I need to like turn my camera because I can't see the Dapple when this is happening. Also, this is a fucking... Dude, this is a bow damage moment. I have to point... This is not VOD review related, but I've dealt with this on Wellstring. I gotta point this out. Listen to the sound. Like, in like 2 seconds, listen to the sound. Fake damage desync! Hit like 4 AoEs, and like, I think they're all fake and didn't actually damage the dually. Bow explosions are enemy screen dependent and they lie to you, and I hate it. Can they fix that? Like, why is it like that? Can we make bow explosions user dependent? Please? Please? Like... It's been 3 years, man! This has been a problem from day 1 on this weapon class! Just change it! The explosion sizes are tiny anyway, who cares? It's clearly not a problem. Anyway. Honestly, I would say when your team's fighting out a spawn as Dapple, you might want to be... Okay, so with this comp, here's the thing. You guys do not want your pair to be the Wellstring and Swig. If you have this duo, these two don't want to be together. Why? Our high damage weapon sources are missing. We have 2 low damage sources. Killing is awkward and complicated, right? Look how fast we can kill with a bucket. Dead! Right? Your Dapple and Bucket need to be someone helping with this. You have 1 low damage, 1 high damage weapon. Try to pair them together more. If you watch high-level JP play, right, a lot of the times, like the Zap and the Pencil, or like Splash and Pen, or Zap and Leader, or whatever, are going to play different parts of the map. Because these weapons overlap on some key flaws. So they're going to want to be spread out a little bit. You don't want them to have to deal with the same problem at the same time. Yeah? So like in this case, like you going in with this Reef Slider and playing fast pace makes sense if you have like your Bucket helping out to clear this more quickly. It doesn't otherwise. You know, you need to have one of your high damage weapons help clear these guys faster. Because it's not that your Swig and Wellstring can't kill them. It's that it's going to be really hard to kill them quickly. So there's going to create a disconnect. You can't like pace as quickly. If you want to walk in fast with your comp, you need your Wellstring following you. Because they're your long distance damage, right? They're supposed to be following up and painting and like chipping the enemy team and helping you. But if they're back here dealing with someone, there's going to be a disconnect by the time you're fighting. Right? So we have all these separate team fights that are like half of your team are in a fight and half of them are dealing with things in spawn, right? Like even look right here how your Dapple and Wellstring pair and how much more clean that was. That fight was fast. Right? And you guys work together very well. Because you have the tools to cover for each other here. Good kill. Nice. This fighting is all good, right? These are very chaotic fights that you guys start with some damage on and you're just like fighting the other team and trading out and it kind of benefits you, right? Because the cooler wasn't like... Or it doesn't benefit you with the cooler out, but like it's at least more back and forth, I guess. Like your comp's still playing to these situations where your specials make a lot of sense. Like this Reef here. Though I would Reef further away here. You don't want to end your Reef in the zone, like ever, unless you're capping zone. Get a wider angle away from the opponent so that they have to look at you and you're like further away from the rest of their team. So like a far Reef Slider's main difference here is the pen can't hit you as easily and you're further out of the mid-range. Like you might not fall up for the kill, but that's fine because your goal is just to live on the angle and keep pulling to help keep your Wellstring safe. Because once you die, there goes your Wellstring. Have to leave. Yeah, I'll get these all up on YouTube. I mean, I think your Slider was just trying to kill the mid, which is, you know, understandable. Like that'll happen sometimes. Reef Slider is very easy to like split-second decision just because it's fast. It's like, it makes sense. Okay, this is a thing with, like, I've said this with Explo before, and now I'm seeing it with Swig. Guys, stop splashdowning the zone. Please, just stop doing it. Like, just paint it. Your main weapon's paint. Just paint the zone. Then you have splashdown for combat. The thing your weapon, like, struggles at is consistent killing in combat. Keep your splashdown for that. If you use your splashdown on zone, you're not gonna have your splashdown to fight right after. It's so tempting. And, like, I blame Nintendo for doing this because they buffed its paint. They buffed its paint, and now I watch every Splashdown player do it because they buffed the paint. I hate that they buffed the paint. They created bad habits because people didn't do this before. Now people do this because we buffed it, and we buffed it to be good enough to look like it might work, but not actually good enough to do it consistently like a slider can. It's in that weird middle ground where it's too tempting, like the Green Goblin mask. All right. Good jump out here. Like, that's nice to burn bubble. We get a good follow-up off the rest of our team. Gotta jump with bow. We're too central, though. We gotta take sides. We're doing it again with the splashdown. Oh yeah, Nell, like a while ago I sent your message to Basil. So, yes, I told her. I don't know how I'll do submissions for replays after this. I will figure it out. Okay. You do, like, okay, as Dapple, I see you do a lot of this, like, right side drop stuff, but I don't think your team has the real, like... This right side's really good if you have a lot of range or if you have stability tools. Like a bubble or a crab or a booyah here is really good. A pencil going here is really good. I don't know what your team gets out of being down here. There's no angles, no close range fights. It's like, the play with Dapple is fine if you had a different team comp. But with this comp, there's nothing, your team doesn't want to be here. This is like the worst quadrant of the map. And you can see it just by watching the game. How many times have we won a fight over here versus over here? Probably a very steep difference. Good kills. Okay, so I said right here that we abandoned our Dapple and left them to die. So let's talk about it, right? Okay, we have Strike, we have Slider, we have Ledge. Go! Go, 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 go. Don't drop. Pop Reef, get an angle with your Reef, get damage, have these two walk in and fight. Like, if they're up here with you, you Reef, you pull, you get damage, and these two just swing. And they one-shot everything because you used your Reef. And we kill two of their team, and we stay under the ledge, and then we go back to snipe, and it's great, right? But here we just left, right? So, of course, the Dapple's gonna get shot. There's no other target for them to shoot at. Would it be better to not hold right side on Maki? Nothing this team has wants to stand here. You don't have a gun for this on this team comp. Like, for other team comps, sure. What on earth does this team put up here? Nothing wants to be here. They will all get bullied by Pen. Except maybe Bucket. But I don't think Bucket wants to be here. I think you need to have, like, more positioning around chair, by the way. Like, someone needs to hold, like, at this wall right behind the chair. You know? People call this chair. You can kind of see why. It has like a little, the yellow thing is like the back of the chair. But like, you need to have front lines playing here, because this drop has a one-way, you see? Or not technically a one-way, you can drop back, but you see how it's awkward to go back and forth from where the rapid is, right? And there's no other way back. So this is commonly where you'll see front lines try to hold, because the enemy team can get in here, and then their movement options are limited. So it's good for your team to engage in this position, because the opponent's options are very restricted. But if you leave them, they will round this corner, and now we're entering the part of the map we just established was bad for your team, right? And then it'll become a problem. It's like, you can't let them get this wide. You have to keep it at the chair. Like, this has to be your line. You have to hold the line. Yep? All right. Blue Sky's thread's still up. I will be doing a different one. I'm not going to use that thread anymore. If you're putting things in the thread, it will not be used. Alright. Okay, game's over. Okay, so this was a long ramble about team comps, more than it was coaching, right? But I think this, like, demonstrates a lot about what goes into team comps and building on strengths and everything. So I hope that was still helpful. I don't have much individually for you, because I think you actually played really well, Rose. Like, as, like, a lot of your Dapple jobs were good. You tended to be far forward. Your Reefs were a little, like, short. They need to just go further away a lot of the time. Some positions you pushed your team couldn't go with you. But I think, like, individually, you're doing your job very well. I think you're picking fights good. And you're generally, like, in positions that I more just want to see, like... Again, if we're running this fast-paced comp, I want to see follow-up. I want to see other people shooting where you are for, like, paint and damage, etc. for you to play off of, right? That's kind of the main thing I want to see changed. Any questions from anyone on this? And we'll wrap it up. Yeah. Hopefully the discussion on comps was helpful. And again, try out stuff, comps-wise, you know? Maybe a cooler will help, maybe Dread will help, I don't know. I guess I will say, since I think the Swig is in chat, right? Okay, I will say... Swig is rough right now. Swig is very tough right now. Triple Splashdown is dropping off. Swig is having a hard time killing. Dread is still pretty consistent. It's up to you. I'm not going to tell you to play a specific weapon. I will just point out that Dread does a lot of what Swig wants to do, but better. So, if you want to make Swig work, if you want to be dedicated, You can still do that. That's up to you. But I do think Swig for Dread might be one of the easier overall improvements to the comp. So, you know, I would say experiment with it if you like both weapons. If you want to make Swig work, go for it. I think you can still try. It's got a lot to it. And honestly, not using your splashdowns on the zone will help you a lot. If you're going to stick Swig, my main advice for you, do not splashdown zone. Use them for combat. I want you to really use splashdown to enhance your weapon's fighting capability. It's good because it makes up for that weapon's flaw. So you have to utilize it for that, right? Think of splashdown as your fighting tool. Splashdown is there to make your fighting and your damage more consistent. It has to be used for that, you know, as little for painting as possible, right? Let your main weapon do that, and that'll give your main and special more things to do that stack into the weapon strings. You like Swig though? And that's a good enough answer, right? If you want to play Swig because you like it, go for it, dude. All the power to you, right? Also, one more thing about your Swig. You don't have to spam vertical flick onto the ledge. If you are going combat mode and you are going for verticals, it is okay to shark like a normal roller, especially if the map is already painted, right? Again, if you're committing to combat with Swig, you have to commit to it, right? Don't try and paint around and then suddenly try to vertical flick someone, because then they'll know where you are. The easiest way to set up your shot is if someone doesn't know where you are already, you know? It's like, you can emulate a little bit more of vanilla roller gameplay, and I think it would help you out a bit. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. That is genuinely everything. Long coaching session today, but I hope there was some stuff that would be helpful. Thank you guys.